It looks like it's true. Tesla's moving at lightning speed and major news keeps dropping. First, this Friday, we learned from Morgan Stanley that Tesla will be showing off their bot manufacturing later this year. They're currently at a run rate of 1,000 robots per month in their factory in Fremont. Tesla's second generation production line will be building 10,000 robots per month. Also, Tesla Dojo 2 is coming out next year. Second, Tesla just added a new board member to the board of directors. Jack Hartung was the president and chief strategy officer of Chipotle Mexican Grill. Is this a signal that Tesla will be entering the food delivery business as part of their Cybercab robotaxi rides? Third, Tesla just dropped new videos of full self-driving. First one is FSD supervised testing in Melbourne, Australia. Vice President Autonomy Ashok Goswami said, "This is the first for the right-hand drive market, and again shows how Tesla's FSD can be dropped anywhere on Earth and just work." Second video is FSD supervised working well in France. Regulatory approval in Europe is very near, it appears. We got Larry Goldberg joining us. Larry's a multi-entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining us, Larry.
Great to be here.
All this is news that just dropped this Friday. It keeps coming. And there's one post of Elon that I'm going to show where he actually posted about Tesla stock. It's something that we haven't heard from him in a while. So first, let's talk about this news. Apparently, Tesla's investor relations head, Travis Axelrod, met with Morgan Stanley, and from that session, there was new tidbits of info dropped. I mean, he might have actually met with Wall Street analysts, but this was a report dropped by Morgan Stanley. So what Morgan Stanley said is, with regards to Optimus, Tesla wants to offer investor tours of low-scale manufacturing by Q4 2025. So Tesla's willing to showcase and show off to these analysts or maybe other investors a tour of that manufacturing line. They're still on track to launch their robotaxi service in Austin. Initial fleet of 10 to 20 cars will be invite only at first. Now that's interesting. That's a new tidbit there. And Tesla can currently make 12 Optimus robots at a time on a second floor of Fremont. We've since heard that there's a correction to that because that's what they could have done, in the past. Now, the point is that production capacity is currently at 1,000 per month. That's their production capacity now, 1,000 per month apparently. Second gen line is targeting 10,000 per month. That's just their first generation. And then the third gen line is 10 times that second gen line. So it looks like that they're moving forward and these plans are still intact. But boy, we're headed towards 10,000 per month very shortly. Tesla wants to build thousands of Optimus robots by the end of this year. Neural nets for Optimus are far larger than the ones for their cars. I'll ask you about that, what that means. And then we'll talk about Dojo too. So before we move on to the news about Dojo, what do you think about the news about the bot?
Well, this is, it's going according to plan, if not faster than plan. The fact that they're in this 1,000 range means that, the next scale up will be 10,000 a month. So this is looking very, very promising. And, given what we saw by way of video in the last week, they're getting to a point that they're going to start marketing this thing early next year, mid next year, along the lines we've been given, to understand. And I think analysts are going to have to start calculating now this into their sums.
I mean, I'm glad that we got news about the bot. I'm so happy that they're going to open it up for tours this year. Any thoughts about that? I mean, that's what you would have expected? Is that like,
I've already lined up. This is a robot speaking. I'm sitting lined up outside Palo Alto.
Okay, so there's that. And then what do you take from the comment about neural nets for Optimus are far bigger than the ones for their cars? What does that mean?
Yeah, so cars really operate in a constrained environment on the road. Yes, the road is highly variegated. Yes, there are a lot of moving parts, moving stuff on the road. But if you think about the real world, the level of variegation is just gigantic.
Yeah.
There's no boundaries. So, you have to consider, and also, the freedom of movement, I mean, is so much greater. So, you have you have one vector upon another upon another upon another of many more variables, and so you can imagine that the world that the robot is looking at on a day-to-day basis is dramatically larger in universe than the universe of the car. And so for sure it's going to need a lot more space, a lot more memory, and probably, I mean, it's more than possible that there's more than two processors on board each robot.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if it's already confirmed that it's NVIDIA chips? Is it Dojo chips, or is it it is Tesla's inference chips, right? It's not neither of those two.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is Tesla's Dojo chips. The
Okay.
Look, an NVIDIA chip is going to be, it drains energy, it drains the batteries far faster than than the inference chip from Tesla. We know this very well. So they're going to be far better placed to use Tesla chips. That's why my assumption is that they're Tesla chips. I know that many of the other robot manufacturers are using NVIDIA chips, and I think battery life is going to be a specific problem for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the compute requirements on these bots are going to be very, very significant, and Tesla's committed to a 4-hour battery life for each for each charge. So
It matters.
it matters a great deal, yeah. And the other issue is compute power. I've theorized that several of the bot manufacturers are going to have edge computing capacity in their installations. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So we'll see. It'd be very interesting. I mean, edge computing could be very valuable in implementing bots because you could have, fairly unlimited capacity in terms of what's on the edge, what it uses from the cloud, versus what you have to constrain in a bot.
Yeah. So it all matters, right? The how big the training compute is, the size matters there, but
Well,
how
training
quick the
compute is
inferences.
offline.
Separate.
Offline,
Yeah.
it's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's an issue in terms of building.
Well, the correlation is that the larger the training, the less workload required at the inference edge side of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I find interesting here that I was hoping for is I've been saying this for a while, just my own guess, is that in terms of like when is Tesla stock going to pop? And everybody seems to think, oh, it's going to be robotaxi. I think robotaxi is going to be a slow rollout, but I was thinking that, boy, by the end of this year, imagine if you actually have a visual of, even if it was just 1,000 bots, just imagine 1,000 bots in the factory doing useful work. Could that not be enough to ignite investors' realization that this is real and it's here? And now that they've offered investor tours of this manufacturing by Q4 of this year, and then they're still on track to make, let's say, 1,000 bots per month. If they can make 1,000 bots per month today, maybe by the end of this year, it's safe for us to say there's going to be 1,000 bots. I just think that visual of 1,000 bots. Now the question is, if they can actually do useful work, then and then there's videos of it, right? And then you've got these analysts just going crazy.
Like, Tesla have told us they're going to be 5,000 bots by the end of the year. I mean, if we are, we're only in May. They're talking about 1,000 bots a month in the latter half of this year. So I think we can safely say now that 5,000 is within reach. I think even Gary Black, our reluctant analyst, is going to have to calculate this in his returns. The problem is, selling price and TAM of the market, it's untested. We can, surmise a very large TAM, and some analysts don't want to surmise a very large TAM. So it's an open issue. My inclination is to start calculating the value in, but I will remind you, even ARC has not calculated the bot into their calculations. And they give a liberal valuation to rideshare. And so do I, because I've done the numbers. I've got actually some numbers coming out mid of next week that are going to be stunning. And not because I'm adding thousands of the right, blah, 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 but because I've done an analysis of the infrastructure that Tesla has versus all the other all the other vendors, and it is a stunning differential. And I think it is the edge that Tesla brings to the market, quite apart from the technology.
Yeah, I can't wait for that report. Yeah, because you've been talking about, and you'll share with us details about, how many service centers that Tesla has. Can these service centers charge the cars? Can they, wash the cars? Can they service the cars and manage
beyond
the
the
cars?
actual physical infrastructure? It is the management structure. It is the presence in the area. It is the understanding of the market. It is the people who already interact with the customers in that market. It is understanding the car. Listen, I rented Hertz vehicles when Hertz was renting Teslas. It was a catastrophe. Why? Because the people, they had no sense of what an electric vehicle is, what it does, and how to even speak to people about it. I mean, you came to the counter. I said, I'd like I had booked a Tesla. I booked a Tesla. They handed me the key card and goodbye. Now, I happen to know a little bit about Teslas. And for me to get to the car, now the cars were not clean. They were not charged. A lot of problems. But can you imagine somebody who's never driven an electric car before and wanted to rent one in order to try it? Really bad experience. So all I can say is that Tesla has the infrastructure. So I'm very high on a very rapid rollout of this service.
I think so. Could be. Okay, let's move on. We've got more information that Morgan Stanley found by talking to Tesla's investor relations. This time it's about Dojo 2. Tesla's own compute chip, supercomputer chip, comes out in 2026, will be more efficient than Dojo 1 and cheaper than comparable NVIDIA solution. Of course, they don't have to pay NVIDIA the 70% markup. It's not expected to be one for one as competitive to NVIDIA. I don't know if that means not as good or it can be better. So this sounds like it's not as good. Dojo 3 expected to come out 2028. Company thinks it can narrow the performance gap. Yeah, for application-specific integrated circuit. Tesla believes that 10xing their computer and acquiring much cheaper chips could result in a major unlock.
Firstly, how you brief these institutional investors is a very interesting game theory, game theory subject.
Yeah.
So I would say that kind of analysis I would set aside and say, what is interesting about it is that we're going to see in 2026 the second generation of Dojo. Yeah. Thirdly, that they're still working on their third generation of Dojo in 2028. Probably it'll slip a year for each, a year for the 2026 release and 2 years for the 2028 release. But they are continuing on this journey, and it's a very, very important journey. There are so many subtleties about compute in this area that, exploring this area is very important. Tesla has shown, incredible creativity in exploring these areas. So we can expect some significant upside. We can hope for a significant upside surprise in the whole performance versus cost versus functionality of these chips.
Can you imagine that Tesla is actually making its own chips similar or competitive to NVIDIA? Maybe not yet quite competitive, but just the whole idea that they're actually building chips in the first place.
Well, they're doing it already.
A whole new business.
They're doing it already.
They're already doing it.
Their inference chips are second to none in terms of performance and power consumption. And power consumption is all important. And that's why Tesla's solution is going to be far superior to anything else on the market, providing the FSD really works to the claim. And we believe it's going to, based upon our personal experience. By the way, today I had my first real, well, we're not in the FSD subject. We'll move on. So,
Oh, yeah, bring that up when we get there. That'll be
yeah,
cool. Yeah, interesting. Okay, next topic is new board member been brought on board to Tesla's board of directors. Guy's name is Jack Hartung. It's going to be effective in June 1st. Jack joined Chipotle Mexican Grill in 2002. He's held several leadership positions. Most recently, he was serving as president and chief strategy officer. He was previously served as chief financial administrative officer. He won some awards there. So he has seen Chipotle over the 20 years grow to 3,700 restaurants around the world. He was named CFO of the year. Yeah. He'll be retiring from that executive role and he's transitioned to a senior advisor role with Chipotle. Currently serves board of directors for other companies like these. So it's just interesting that why did they choose a board of directors from Chipotle, a truly independent board director? This is Jack Hartung. And of course, we have this guy, Fred Lambert of Electric, who's sold all of his Tesla shares. He's really become every article is negative on Tesla. He says Elon Musk hires another Tesla board member to cash checks and let him destroy the brand. But it's also clear when you saw the writing here that Mr. Hartung is eligible to receive compensation because he's an outside director, but he's waived any entitlement to cash compensation until further notice to Tesla. Otherwise, joined the remainder of our board in waiving equity compensation until such time as new determinations made by the board. So they basically have all
yeah,
waived equity compensation until then.
I would dismiss all of this conversation about compensation. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. Board members are compensated for their services. Their services are very critical, and they are people of great stature, so they should be paid. So I would just ignore that stuff. That's noise. It has nothing to do
gotcha.
with anything. All board
Yeah,
members of all public companies are compensated. Period.
yeah, that's a good
And the
point.
board member of a company like Tesla should be compensated extremely well because it is a very, very dynamic company. And when I mean dynamic, it means there are a lot of moving parts, and board members have to be, on top of everything. So let's get rid of that
That's a
subject.
good
I
point.
don't think it's worth talking about. And
So Omar says, I don't care about you're being truthful. Now that the reason I'm saying this is because Elon actually did reply to this point. Elon did this. He posted this in reply to Omar's comment. And it's the first time I've seen, or it's been a long time since we see
yeah,
Elon posting about Tesla stock. And he basically just showed that Tesla stock jumped by 48% in the last month here. And then you've got Omar reminding everybody that Fred Lambert made a big deal about selling all of his shares in September last year.
yeah, yeah. I would just dismiss. I don't really take much notice of these haters anymore. I think we need to be, we need to be subjective. Objective. We need to look at the company objective. Look, the company has only one director who absolutely is recognized as independent. Jack Harden comes from a completely different world, but he comes with very, very substantial, background. He's proven in terms of his leadership under extreme circumstances. I mean, Chipotle has been through the wars in the last, in their history. I mean, they nearly.
Crisis management.
I'm talking
Crisis
about
management
crisis
with the,
management.
yeah,
Amazing, yeah, amazing crisis management. I mean, when you think of how they survived that poison process, that poison situation, not
mhm,
once but actually twice, how they came out of it, and today they're still incredibly good company, and he's been the steward, the financial steward. So I couldn't think of a better background for an independent board member. And as far as payment is concerned and compensation, look, they have a process underway. They've moved the company to Texas. It's a new, environment, a new legal regime. They have to have, all of this thought through. So I think that that all of that will be resolved possibly in the next board meeting, company shareholders meeting, but possibly the one after it or an extraordinary one. I think we have to get the court case that's only going to be resolved by December behind us. But Tesla are moving ahead with their governance and with their board set. So I would say this is a good move.
Uh, Larry, what do you think about the? Why did they choose somebody that's from Chipotle, which is a restaurant? Do you think this might hint a little bit of potentially the food delivery?
Not at all.
We,
Not at
yeah,
all.
2 days
No.
ago, Elon
Yeah.
replied to AJ. AJ said that, Elon's made comments before that at
Yeah.
nighttime, the ride hail service falls because fewer people are as available to want to take rides.
Yeah.
And he said that it was, designed perfectly for package delivery. And then 2 days ago, AJ talked about how package delivery and food delivery is, something that's going to add significantly to ride hail. And Elon said, exactly.
Operational food delivery is probably quite low on this guy's radar screen and experience. I mean, not quite low. I mean, disappearingly low. If you want to go to food delivery and you want to find out about food delivery, you don't go to the guy who is in the board directors of a restaurant. You go to a guy who is
DoorDash or something.
operational in a food delivery firm.
Yeah.
I would say
Okay.
it doesn't do any damage that he had some passing connection to food delivery. Although, to be honest, if you're a restaurant, your interaction with food delivery is, they're a customer. They're, I mean, and Chipotle are not exactly in the forefront of food delivery. So I would say that the one thing has nothing to do with the other. And food delivery is so tangential right now to ride hail that honestly, I don't think it. I mean,
it's not big enough that you would hire a board member just for that. Yeah,
it's
more
all.
likely.
Not
yeah,
at
more
all.
likely maybe the crisis management, maybe just
Yes.
yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is great. That's what I love.
Independence, the track record, financial track record, because it's going to be very tricky going forward, given the the pay package, the move to Texas, pay for the how you reward board members in the future, and how you manage the so-called crisis with Elon's personality. I think that those things are they're miles ahead of the issue of food delivery.
There you go. Great advice, great comments. All right, third topic here is full self-driving. We had several drops by Tesla on full self-driving. It is quite shocking what they've done here. So first they showed FSD Supervise is now being tested in Melbourne, Australia. That's a hook turn. So we'll watch it. We'll play that video. But boy, this is Ashoka Swami, who's the vice president of autonomy, saying this is, end-to-end, continues to scale. This is a neural net, learned how to drive. You can drop it anywhere in the world, and it'll drive. But this is the first time it's learned or able to drive in a right-hand drive market. So this is quite interesting. Let's watch the video here, the one in France. So here we are, right-hand drive, just showing off that this is now in Melbourne, Australia.
Look at these amateur drivers. With their hands, hovering by the wheel.
What do you do?
I lay back. My hands are, probably a drink in one hand, in my hand,
Please, Larry.
and my, resting on the door. I mean,
they don't want to send you the wrong message. Okay, this is supervised.
Yeah. I didn't say any of that.
That's hilarious.
Maybe you should cut it all out.
No. So this is fun. So this is Melbourne, Australia. I mean, again, a whole new continent, a whole new country.
Damn busy city. I mean, Melbourne's like San Francisco. Melbourne's a great city, and you can see a lot of people just wandering the streets. A lot. And I will say this: Melbourne's got a fairly large Chinese population, and boy, are they aggressive pedestrians. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's the other thing, right? Every one of these markets, they have a different culture of what it's to be a pedestrian or to be a driver. And it's accepted in each of those cities, right? It's like Europe and New York versus Seattle. Like, right? In Seattle, it's like you go to a 4-way stop and it's always, oh, it's your turn. No, it's your turn. No. And we just sit there forever. New York, they scream at you, move. And by the way, if you're a pedestrian and you step onto the crosswalk, the driver will scream at you, the pedestrian, going, well, how dare you? Versus in Seattle, it's the opposite. Pedestrians have right away. The pedestrian screams at the driver going, hey, I'm here.
Well, That's
so different.
where the New York second was invented.
The New York second, yeah, it matters every second. And so this
No,
is Australia.
New York second is the time between the light turning orange and the car's going. Yeah, right.
Gotcha. So that was Australia, right-hand drive, and yet the car, can figure out the rules, can learn there. And here we have another very big deal, which is Tesla Europe dropping this. This is the car driving. Oops, here we go, in France. So let's play this big roundabout here.
This roundabout is unbelievable. I've driven this. When I criticize the driver for sitting with his hands right at the steering wheel, he'll say, you should try and drive around the Champs-Élysées. I said, I've done it. And it is nightmarish. I don't know if you noticed, there are no lanes.
There's no lines
on the ground. There's no such thing as lanes. You drive and you kind of
the car just stopped
whatever you can get.
The car was just stopped there.
Yeah.
In the middle of anything, it just stopped.
Yeah. It had to.
Buses.
Did you see those cars coming in? Did you see the guy cut past him?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
And that right-hand turn, I know that right-hand turn very well. I mean, it's so difficult to position yourself for that turn. It's incredible. I mean, so if you hit that roundabout in the left-hand lane, and you're going to turn to the right-hand lane in the fourth or the fifth, I think it's the fifth turn. Man, getting across that, it's incredible.
So you were saying that you did have did you say that you earlier that you had a critical disengagement after months of driving?
Yeah, this morning I had a critical disengagement because coming out of our neighborhood, there was a very long, grass maintenance truck sitting in the gap between the islands. And so you had to kind of turn right in order to go around the back of it to get to the other side of the road. So the car thought that was actually an island and turned left into the oncoming traffic. So it was the first critical disengagement I can remember for the last couple of months. Anyway,
I've been telling folks it's been 3.5 months. Every single day I have FSD drive me. I've not had my own critical disengagement yet. And so every one of those drives there or back, let's say a restaurant and back, that's a ride hail. And for me, it's been flawless so far. So we'll keep an eye out for that. This is it. FSD was dropped in Australia. And then, so that might mean that Europe, regulatory approval in Europe is nearing. If they're showing you in Netherlands, they're showing in France, they're showing it in multiple, Czech Republic, they're showing it all over the place. So we'll see. And so that seems to be on track. They did confirm June is on track, and they confirmed that the robots are now at the production line, 1,000 per month, at least at this point.
Look, Elon has made the decision. Tesla is not a car company. That's the decision. It's not an auto company. And he's moving as rapidly as he can to scale in these AI-driven technologies. And he's turning it into an AI company. And we just got to get used, and the analysts have got to get used to it. They're not there yet. But if you look at those huge buys by those institutions, it's quite clear the institutions have got there.
Yeah, the next show we're going to talk about how much the institution have been buying in Q1 of this year. Thank you so much, Larry. Follow him on his X account at Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.